£145 million. That is the extraordinary valuation now surrounding Bradley Barcola, and it could become one of the biggest transfer stories of the summer. Liverpool have held talks with Paris Saint-Germain over the French winger. But there is one enormous problem: the price. PSG reportedly value Barcola at around £145 million. Liverpool are interested. Barcola is open to a Premier League move. But as things stand, there is still a significant gap between the two clubs. No agreement has been reached. No £145 million transfer has been completed. And that raises the real question: why is Bradley Barcola suddenly being valued like one of football's biggest superstars? To understand that, we have to go back to the beginning, long before Liverpool, long before Paris Saint-Germain, and long before anyone was talking about £145 million. Barcola developed at Lyon, one of the most respected academies in French football. For years, he was simply another talented young player trying to make the jump from academy football to the professional game. Then, everything started to change. During the 2022-2023 season, Barcola established himself as one of Lyon's most exciting young attackers. His pace was obvious, but speed alone was not what made him special. Barcola knew how to use space. He could stay wide and attack a fullback one-on-one. He could cut inside. He could make runs behind the defensive line. And when the game opened up, he could turn a simple pass into a dangerous attack within seconds. Paris Saint-Germain saw the potential. In August 2023, PSG signed Barcola and gave him a 5-year contract running until 2028. It was a massive step. He went from developing at Lyon to competing at one of the richest and most ambitious clubs in world football. And with that move came pressure. At PSG, being talented is not enough. You are surrounded by elite players. You are expected to win trophies. And every single performance is analyzed. But Barcola continued to develop. He became more confident, more direct, more dangerous in one-on-one situations, and more comfortable playing at the highest level. Today, Barcola is 23 years old. He has already experienced Champions League football and the pressure of playing for one of Europe's biggest clubs. But perhaps the most important thing about him is this: his best years may still be ahead of him. And that is where his enormous valuation begins to make more sense. Modern football clubs do not only pay for what a player is today, they pay for what they believe he can become tomorrow. A 23-year-old elite winger can potentially give a club 6, 7, or even 8 years at the highest level. And Liverpool appear to see that potential in Barcola. So why would Liverpool want him? First, his speed. Barcola can attack space extremely quickly. Give him open grass and defenders immediately have a problem. Step towards him, and he may accelerate past you. Drop backwards, and you give him space to create. Second, his one-on-one ability. Liverpool need attackers who can create something when a match becomes difficult. A player capable of beating one defender can completely change an attacking situation. Third, his versatility. Barcola is most dangerous from the left, but his movement allows him to attack different areas of the pitch. He does not simply stand on the touchline waiting for the ball. He moves, he attacks gaps, he creates space, and that profile can be extremely valuable in the Premier League. But now we reach the most important part of the story: the money. £145 million is not normal transfer money. At that level, Liverpool would not simply be buying a talented winger. They would be making one of the biggest investments in English football. And a price like that changes everything. The moment a player arrives for an enormous fee, expectations become enormous too. Fans expect goals, they expect assists, They expect performances in the biggest matches, and they expect trophies. Every missed chance becomes more noticeable. Every bad game creates debate, and every difficult period brings the same question: was he really worth the money? That is the hidden risk behind a blockbuster transfer. Liverpool would not only be buying Bradley Barcola, they would also be buying the pressure attached to his price tag, $500. And there is another financial question. What else could Liverpool do with £145 million? That amount of money could potentially strengthen more than one position. So Liverpool's decision is not simply, is Barcola a brilliant player? The real question is Bradley Barcola so important to Liverpool's future that he is worth spending superstar money on? PSG, meanwhile, are in a powerful position. They have Barcola under contract until 2028. They do not need to sell him cheaply. And replacing a talented 23-year-old attacker could itself cost a huge amount of money. That gives PSG leverage. If Liverpool do not meet their valuation, PSG can simply keep the player. And that explains why the negotiations are difficult. Liverpool may see an elite young winger with enormous potential. PSG see the same thing. And that is exactly why they can demand such a huge price. There is also another twist. Liverpool are not the only major English club being linked with Barcola. Recent reports have also connected Arsenal with the French winger. That does not mean Arsenal have agreed a deal, but it shows why PSG can remain patient. When multiple wealthy Premier League clubs admire the same young player, the selling club has little reason to lower the price quickly. And this is where we need to separate fact from transfer hype. There have been claims online suggesting that a deal is already done, but as of now, the most reliable reports do not confirm that. Liverpool have held talks with PSG. Barcola has been linked strongly with a move to Anfield. PSG's valuation is around £145 million, but there is still a significant gap between the clubs, and there is no completed transfer. That is why the question mark matters. £145 million? Not £145 million confirmed. And even if this transfer never happens, the story tells us something remarkable about Bradley Barcola. Only a few years ago, he was a young attacker developing at Lyon. Then PSG invested in his potential. Now he is being discussed in a transfer story involving one of the biggest clubs in England, and a valuation normally reserved for football's global superstars. That is an extraordinary rise from Lyon to Paris, and potentially one day to Anfield. But Liverpool now have a huge decision to make. Do they push closer to PSG's valuation? Do they try to negotiate the price down? Or do they decide that £145 million is simply too much and walk away? Because at this level, Liverpool would not just be buying a footballer, they would be making a massive bet on the future. A bet that Bradley Barcola can become one of the best attacking players in the world. If that bet succeeds, people may eventually stop talking about the price. If it fails, that £145 million figure could follow him through every difficult moment of his Liverpool career. The talent is there, the potential is there, and Liverpool's interest is real. But the deal is not done. So now the question goes to you. If you were Liverpool, would you pay £145 million for Bradley Barcola? Or would you walk away? Tell us in the comments. And subscribe to Luxury Zone for more stories about football, money, transfers, and the business behind the world's biggest game.